2002SuperVision presents Digital Nitrate. Good evening to you, Chandler.
Ah, good evening. You know, it's so nice tonight here on the Isle of Goto.
Lovely.
Yeah. You know, salt farming's been good, salt mining's been even better. It's just been fantastic, wouldn't you say, Joel?
Oh, this crisp summer breeze, blowing the salty ocean scent through my nostrils. I cannot get enough of it. I'm glad we've been here for upwards of 5 months.
Yeah, it's sad not being home anymore, but I think this is a pretty good home, you know?
It's been a while since we've watched any films. We've been busy setting up this salt farm here on Goto.
Yeah, because of all that crime that we did. Well, there's no IRS here taking our salt money, so I say things are doing all right. And you know what, Joel? Even better, I found I've been talking to somebody, you know, getting a little personal.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
You've integrated into the neighborhood quite quickly. Then that's lovely to hear.
True. That's true. Yeah, her name's Mindy.
Mindy?
Yeah, you know, we've been getting a little romantic.
She wouldn't happen to live like 3 doors down, would she?
Yeah, in the red house. Why?
Ooh. I've also been seeing Mindy.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, like seeing her with your eyes, of course. Yeah.
I've seen a lot more than her eyes.
Her hands? This is gonna put a lot of strain on our relationship. Well, when things get rough, I always turn to movies, and ever since we found that huge repository of over 10,000 film reels underneath our farm,
Oh yeah, that.
I think that maybe we can watch some movies to help us kind of work our way through this. Wouldn't you say, as friends?
As best friends.
All right. You know what? I saw one while I was down there. Let me go grab the reels, and if you want to set up the projector, I got one perfect for this.
Eat a Bowl of Tea, a Wayne Wang film.
So, that was Eat a Bowl of Tea by Wayne Wang. What do you say, Joel? Do you think that helped you out a bit?
So yeah, Eat a Bowl of Tea, directed by Wayne Wang, based on a novel from the 60s, I want to say, written by Louis Chu.
That's true.
Neither of us read the novel, because we're both in our mid-20s, and 20-year-olds don't read. A delightful movie.
Is surprisingly kind of, it's very optimistic, it's very kind of naive in a way, in a nice way. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that's very, like, is very book clubby in a way, you know, based on a book, but also kind of exciting for older adults.
I don't know if it's for, like, older adults specifically, but it's definitely not for us, but we still love it nonetheless.
Right, because we're secretly old people.
Yeah. We're not actually in our mid-20s, we're in our mid-90s.
Yeah, exactly.
It is about the Asian American immigrant experience, which neither of us have experienced.
Not firsthand, not being Chinese American, but it's obviously a really good look, like a very earnest take on that. You know, I feel like this movie is sort of showing everybody what it's like. You know, it is a love letter. It is sort of a personal thing for Chinese American immigrants and first, second generation families. But also just sort of being like accessible in a way.
Yeah. But there's a lot of like very specific references, like the Chinese Exclusion Act, which I don't know if you knew, but America has a huge history of racism. I hate to break this to you here, but...
Yeah, I just found this out, actually. Thank you for letting me know.
But a lot of, obviously, older men from China moved over for work and then couldn't bring their spouses along. And after World War II, the War Brides Act comes into play, so now Chinese men can bring brides over to the US to live there. Which is the central conflict on our lead character, Ben, who is now pressured by every father in the neighborhood to have a child in America. Get fucking in America specifically.
It's the place to fuck.
And that makes poor old Ben impotent.
Hey! I hear Ben Roy has got a new name.
Hey, what name?
No can do.
No can do. That's a good one.
Imagine. It really is amazing, you know, the whole setup, and then the whole middle act is basically about how Ben, being pressured by everybody in the world practically to have sex, is just instantly limp.
It feels like it kind of switches protagonists. At the beginning, it's about Victor Wong. I don't remember the character's name. Actually, no, I do. It's Hua Gei. I remembered it.
Okay.
But it kind of starts out as his story. He's like telling his son to go and get a bride and bring a bride back from China. And then, obviously, the middle section is the follow-up of this. Ben goes to China, gets his wife, brings his wife back, starts working, everything sucks, he can't have sex, something else that rhymes with sucks and sex, and then the finale, it switches back to his father. It definitely, like, it isn't just a straightforward story, it's got a lot of, like, multiple character dynamics, which makes it far more engaging than any other sort of just, like, straight biography about someone.
That's true. Yeah, I'd say that it's very fluid, and everybody kind of gets their time to shine. I think that it's a very central part of not just Asian American life as told through media and otherwise, but this film specifically it's very communal. It's telling everybody's story. Everybody's a part of it because it's so connected. You know, this takes place in New York City, Chinatown. It's very, very close. It's cramped. You know, everybody's just around the corner. And so, you know, in the same way that the, you know, historical facts back it up, it also appears in the film as well, which I think is a kind of Wang's kind of talent. You know, he has a magic about his films. You know, he really cares for it, you can tell. Even in films where maybe don't have the biggest budget, or it's not like the biggest story, he's still putting a lot of great effort into it. You know, I love that guy.
Obviously, Made in Manhattan is probably his most popular film on the Western Hemisphere. But
how could you not love that film?
It's great, I say, having not seen it in many years. But you've seen Chan is Missing, his one of his other films that is popular enough.
Yeah. If you want to talk about low budget, I mean, this film was made, you know, for next to nothing. But it's the same thing. The sort of community of San Francisco, the people that are in there and come out of it, is intertwined with the film. And so you're really seeing its effects on his filmmaking. You know, he really knows how to... I guess what I'm saying is that he knows how to tell a story, which is just something that you can't really always expect from directors, especially from in the 80s and 90s.
You had a very good point about how in sort of the canon of, like, Asian American cinema, then Wang is comparable to like Ang Lee, I think you said.
That's true. Yeah, when you look at their careers, especially Wayne being Chinese American himself, Ang Lee being Taiwanese, but sort of permanently moving to America, and starting out with these very personal sort of Hong Kong and Taiwanese new wave adjacent movies, but just by being in America, just by making these stories, you know, they sort of grow and adapt out of that. And then they go to make films like Made in Manhattan and Life of Pi. You know, everybody's got to make money, you know.
They went very different ways with their money making, though. I don't think
That's
Wayne
true.
Wang is ever gonna make Gemini Man.
I would pay to watch that, though. Have you seen The Wedding Banquet?
No, I haven't. I'm lacking
to-
in the Ang Lee department. I've seen Hulk.
Sad.
I've seen Gemini Man. I've seen Life of Pi. I've seen the ones targeted to white men. I'm that person, unfortunately.
Oh man, I'll have to turn you on to that. But I do want to talk. Speaking of Taiwan, I want to talk about the female lead in this, Cora Mao, who was also in Terrorizers, the Edward Yang feature from 1986.
So, perfect segue into Edward Yang, who is one of, if not your favorite director, I want to say.
Is one of, if not one of the best directors ever. That's correct. But yeah, she's in Terrorizers, and unfortunately Cora does not get a lot to do in this one. In, I should say, Eat a Bowl of Tea. She's unfortunately a little passive. This film, it isn't like, surprise, surprise, it is not going to blow the cap off of gender politics. It's just kind of, it's pretty, you know, it's all about tradition and a little conservative. But, I mean, her presence is always welcome.
Yeah, I think it could be way worse about gender politics. I don't think there's like an issue there.
Not really, no, especially considering the topics that come up, and, you know, she's never fully demonized or like, you know, she always has a personality, and she has her wants and needs, and she expresses them eloquently. She's not just like a 40s dame who, you know, speaks back to the man and gets slapped.
Everyone feels like a real character in this film.
Very
There's
true.
nothing
So
like...
there's at least that.
And I guess I'm going to assume that is part of the book itself, rather than like adapted against it. I'm just assuming this isn't a horribly sexist novel. It could be, but it doesn't seem like it is. My only fact about this is that Cora was married to Wayne Wang, so there were three men getting cooked that night.
I mean, it's interesting that he would want to tell a story about his wife as the character who is cucking a husband. What are you trying to say with that, Wayne?
No, but it worked, because I think they're still married, which is lovely. I can only hope Eat a Bowl of Tea just strengthen their marriage to no end.
I mean, I've never been married. I've been in some relationships, and I think that you know, maybe letting loose on the chain a bit might be good for a relationship sometime. Who knows?
Hell yeah, do it. Everyone go have an affair.
That's the big takeaway here. Yes. I mean, in the end, it works out for them in the movie.
Because they're in love.
What can I say?
The affair didn't matter, because they love each other. It did matter.
It did kind of matter, but...
You know what to do with this? It's for making babies, not just to have fun with.
But we haven't had a
That's what I
chance to talk about Victor Wong yet, which is
How
shocking.
have we not
because,
talked about Victor Wong?
We fucking
He's our
love
favorite
Victor
actor.
Wong.
He's
Might be a favorite actor of all time.
Every
because,
movie he's in, he just kills the character act.
And this is like far beyond what I've seen him in before. I mean, I'd seen him in like Big Trouble in Little China, the other John Carpenter one, Prince of Darkness. Those are two very different performances, and in this, it's another like completely different performance. And this man is a beautiful actor. Down to like the facial expressions, the movements where he holds himself when he's grabbing his dick in the restaurant.
Where he holds his cock. Yeah, that's perfect. He really knows how to do it.
He's a lovely man, and who knows, maybe one day we'll just have a Victor Wong specific episode, because I have a lot of Victor Wong performances to talk about.
I mean, how could you not?
He's hilarious in this. I mean, like, every performance in this film is very good. No one lets the side down at all, and everyone... Oh no. Who?
Russell Wong...
Oh, I disagree.
AKA Ben. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying he's definitely a little out of place in some scenes. You know.
I think he's very charming, and I think the way he's doing the character is sort of like not ignorant, but ignoring his situation. So he's very like out of it and distracted constantly, and he does that very well with the like plastered smile over his face.
Yeah, I'll give it that. I mean, like I said, it's not a terrible performance. It's it's an early performance by him too, so it's not like I'm expecting the world from him. Meanwhile, Victor Wong already has about 800 films that he's been in before this one.
He's got the legs. So
yeah, it's a sweet film. It's a really nice one to watch. Very comforting, very silly. Just a good watch overall, I think.
Like all good films, it is available on the Internet Archive,
where all of the best films can be found.
But also, if you want to go a little bit more legitimate, it's on the Criterion channel, I've been told, as of the date of recording, May the 15th, 2023. If you're watching this in the future, it could be gone. The internet could be gone. All of it.
We could all be gone.
I know I will.
Oh.
2人はどこで出会ったんですか？
パン屋です。
パン屋。
So we also watched Tokyo Fist today, which, as alluded to earlier, one of your favorite directors is Edward Yang, and one of, if not just my favorite director, Shinya Tsukamoto.
I can't blame you for that one.
I think Tokyo Fist is shockingly personal to him, which is hilarious when you watch the film itself and know the content of the film.
Yeah, I was surprised when you pulled this out, because you had mentioned that you had an idea of a way of continuing our little love triangle situation going on here, and I didn't really know what you're talking about at first. You said that this film is basically the same as Eat a Bowl of Tea. Mm-hmm. But then you really convinced me.
Well, it is the same kind of love triangle. But I guess the way that Tokyo Fist spins it is that instead of everyone being at fault, it's just because men are very, very dull and boring creatures. And you know what? Kinda, yeah. The more interesting dynamic of Tokyo Fist is that Shinya Tsukamoto, he plays the salary man, the boring guy. Loves to cast himself as the boring guy now. But the person opposite him in the love triangle, the other guy, is his real life brother, Koji Tsukamoto. And obviously the plot of the film is that this guy, Kojima, is a boxer, and he is a lifelong friend of the Shinya Tsukamoto character, whose name I can't remember.
Suda.
Thank you. They stopped talking to each other for so long, and then they've come back into contact, and they've started this rivalry, which is basically the real life scenario of Shinya Tsukamoto being kicked out of his house for making films instead of getting a real job. And then he stops talking to his brother, who he was very close with. And then he gets back into contact with his brother making this film, and they become closer again. So it's mirroring what's happening in real life. It's fascinating, the story behind this film.
It also mirrors Eat a Bowl of Tea and how Wayne Wang is being cucked by the wife character, where Shinya Tsukamoto, for some reason, also is very adamant about playing a cucked husband here as well.
It's difficult to approach Tokyo Fist because the temptation is to approach it as a boxing film, but it's really not a boxing film. It's just that boxing happens to be a big part of it. I think it's
more so about the struggle, some sort of fight. You know?
Well, it could be like any sort of fight, but it's very sort of like Tsukamoto to just pick the most like visceral, literal type of fighting.
Yeah. I think maybe he just needed an excuse to put on the most gruesome body horror makeup. Best way to do that is with boxing.
Is to just have the shit beat out of you.
Yeah.
The story allegedly is, I say allegedly as if Tom Mez is lying to me, because his brother in real life, Koji, was a boxer and was coaching and then wanted to get back into the ring, and their mother said to Shinya, don't let him get back in the ring, he's gonna get his fucking ass kicked. When you cast him in one of your films, keep him busy for a while.
And make him pretend that he's boxing.
And so Shinya Tsukamoto's like, yeah, fuck it, I'll make a boxing movie and I'll let him do the fight choreography and play the co-lead. That'll keep him busy for sure. And it worked, is the thing. He just, like, bullshitted this boxing film together real quick to keep his brother busy. And he somehow managed to make Tokyo Fist.
Yeah, it's a film that does feel as kind of uncentered or, unscripted as that sounds. Like, this film is extremely floaty, it's confusing, it's, cut very jarringly. So you can tell that, being Shinya Tsukamoto, that it works, it's perfect for this sort of film.
Yeah, he's perfected that style of, like, violence in the editing.
Right. So it's very obvious that it feels a lot of this is sort of almost shot in sequence and just kind of like, let's go here and shoot some stuff and, we'll make it work.
連中と途中まで帰ったんですが、あんまり月がすごいんで、ここで見たかったもんですから。
I have a fun fact about the sort of the casting, I suppose. But
oh, true.
The guy that owns the gym, the one with like the individual flip down sunglasses.
Yeah.
That's a real life boxer, Koichi Wajima. He was I think light middleweight. He was very popular. He was well known for his devastating frog uppercut, which of course at the end of this film, right, the ending fight that leaves Kojima like bloodied and broken, he ends that with a frog uppercut. So they knew some things about boxing. They weren't just completely bullshitting it.
I feel like that is where there's a lot of benefit in this style of filmmaking, where, I feel like if there's lots of money, there's a lot of like obligations to get more like faces and names,
Yeah.
Where in this case, He was like, we need to know something about boxing. We can kill 2 birds here with 1 stone by hiring a boxer, and also he plays the role. That's scrappy. I like it.
It's one thing I love the most about Tsukamoto is a lot of his, I mean, like, all of his work has pretty much been independent, but if he's getting, like, productions going, a lot of it is, like, commission work, where they'll just ask him to make a film in his style, so he gets a lot of, like, freedom, and I think that is very beneficial to going back and looking through his catalog, and like a lot of his films will build off the previous film. It's like you're watching him evolve in front of you over the span of like 30-40 years. And I don't know if Killing is going to be his last film. I hope it isn't. It's a good ending, but it's not the best ending he could have had. Who knows, maybe he'll do Tetsuo 4 with Quentin Tarantino.
Where I'm standing, a Shinya Tsukamoto film doesn't go over 90 minutes.
Never.
I mean...
Actually, it did once, but we don't talk about Nightmare Detective.
He made Haze, which is 49 minutes.
Legendarily so.
Which is a feature film. I'm just saying, like, I understand filmmaking is a process. I understand that it's not as easy. But Shinya Tsukamoto has made a whole career about how the fact that he can just piss out a film. Like, I'm sure he could make another one.
That's my argument. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that, yeah, some films should be 3 hours, some films shouldn't. But there's a lot of, like, a tendency to go towards longer cinema under the assumption that it is somehow more, like, culturally rich than any other sort of film. And I think Shinya Tsukamoto, who's able to make like 40, 60, 70 minute long films that are just as, if not more, culturally rich and just, like, cinematic, I think it's good for us that like to make short films, knowing that this man is out here making the shortest films he possibly can. And nothing feels like it is underdeveloped. Like, he writes a perfect story and just throws it out.
Very true. I think that there's also an assumption that people want their favorite directors to get, like, the big one, right?
Yeah.
The big film, the biggest budget, the biggest chance. I know, speaking of Shinya Tsukamoto, look at somebody like Martin Scorsese, a film that Shinya was in silence, 161 minutes.
The big one.
And this new one, Killers of the Flower Moon, that's coming out soon, is 206 minutes.
Fucking hell, man.
I feel like Shinya Tsukamoto is somebody who has proven that quality does not have a time requirement.
Yeah.
It just has to be a story. That's all of his films. That's this film, is that he has the story and he's not putting any filler in it. He's not apologizing for anything. He's not making up for anything. He's saying, this is it.
Just a crisp, tight 87 minutes of violence for the sake of not knowing what the fuck to do about your dead-end job and your failing marriage. And I think it's beautiful.
So I think what we're learning here is that the way for us to solve our difference here in our love triangle is to get in the ring.
I'm happy to get in the ring. The only problem is we don't have a ring. We have the whole beach. It's a bit large, but we can go over there.
Just like grapple?
Yeah. We can draw a circle in the sand and make it sumo.
Alright.
So is this like winner gets the girl, or?
I'm kind of over it.
You know, me too.
Let's just... Why... We're gay.
We just break up with her over text. Right?
Yeah. Wait, you got her number?
I look like 16-year-old. そして今選